All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we've had a really tough couple of days here with what's going on. And, you know, what lies ahead for us is only going to get worse as the noose around our neck tightens. And that noose is braided out of the lies that are woven together by the educational system, folks. And you better explain to your children they're being lied to on a grand scale, because it may be them that has to rescue humanity. We may be dead by the time the full plan comes to fruition. You explain something to your children, ladies and gentlemen. You remember that movie back around 1990 with Arnold Schwarzenegger? I believe it was called Total Recall. Do you remember that movie? You know, there was something about that movie that stuck with me. And it had to do with this technology. And that's right. Good morning, everybody. I know the notifications come in late. I know it takes a while because they don't want people to see what I have to say and hear what I have to say. But that movie, Total Recall, was amazing because it had a lot of different things going on at the same time in it that are so relevant and so pertinent to what we face today, ladies and gentlemen. And there was a little bit of mind control in there about erasing your memory, hiding history, hiding truth and hiding information, as well as, you know, putting people inside these closed systems that were highly regulated. And of course, what was really interesting about it was the air generating machine that was supposed to be 500,000 years old. It was hidden from the inhabitants. Now, this supposedly took place on Mars, but we know that's a bunch of nonsense. But the Total Recall, folks, is all about what we're about to face. I think you need to familiarize yourself with that movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, these movies have a lot of predictive programming in them. One of the most important things you can take away from this movie is that the properties of the gases in this movie were life-giving, and the control of the production of these gases were how they controlled life. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's how they controlled life. We're facing a similar situation here. A very similar situation. All right, and I know there's a lot of suppression going with this channel, so just give it a minute, folks. Just give it a minute. All of the schools are teaching children that carbon emissions are pollution. Elementary schools are starting to get in on the action. The high schools are in on it, the junior highs especially. They taught it to me when I was younger. They taught me that carbon dioxide makes some sort of blanket around the earth and traps in all this heat and makes everything heat up, and that the ocean's going to rise and all these places are going to get flooded and the weather's going to change. I remember being on an airplane in 1976, going back east to see my grandparents around Christmas time, and I remember the cover of this magazine that was in the seat, and it was about how we were entering a new ice age. I'll never forget that. Scared the living daylights out of me, ladies and gentlemen, because I thought that the whole world was just going to freeze. It was a cold winter. The winter of 1976 was a chilly one. It was a lot of snow in Massachusetts when we went back there. I remember walking through the streets of Boston with my dad, leaving the North Station, going to the my grandmother's house, who lived in one of these brick buildings, and we were walking from the train station, and the only way we could keep warm was to go in and out of the lobbies of these office buildings. I'll never forget that. We were walking in and out of these lobbies of these huge towers because their lobbies were nice and warm. But it was a cold winter, and you know, they were telling us back in the 70s that we were on the verge of ice age, and then the late 80s came, and it was all about global warming, right? And then the mid-90s came, and it was like full-on global warming, and the chemtrails showed up. That's right, they started spraying Southern California in around 1994. The winter of 94 is when I first noticed these aerosol operations. Well, what they've managed to do now is, with so much inconsistency in their allegations, they've had to rebrand their mantra and call it climate change. And everywhere I look, ladies and gentlemen, everywhere I look, I see trees and plants that are doing the job that God created them to do, and that is to remove the carbon out of the air and turn it into wood and vegetables and materials so that we can make paper and fireplaces and cook our dinner. Do you know they want to take your ability to burn things away from you? That's right. When you think about this for just a minute, folks. Think about this for just a moment. Let me adjust this here real quick. We're having a little bit of trouble with the technology. Think about this for just a moment. They don't want us burning wood. They don't want us burning gas. They don't want us burning gasoline. They don't want us burning coal. They don't want us burning tires or pallets or pine trees or Christmas trees at the beach or anything. You go down to the... I'll never forget, we were at the beach, my wife and I. It was right around Christmas last year. We were walking around. It's kind of a really beautiful evening. Flat, calm, beautiful moonlight off the ocean. And you could see in the distance, in a fire pit, somebody had obviously put a Christmas tree, and it was about a 20-foot flame in the air, and before you know it, the police showed up. But I guess it's criminal now to burn a tree. It's a criminal thing to have a fire. It's a criminal thing to, you know, have a fireplace with some wood in it, unless, of course, you're the government and you're starting fires to burn people out of their homes to make way for the bullet train in California and to make way for the Agenda 21 land grab to get people out of the countryside and off the mountains and into the compact cities. It's not criminal to burn something as long as it's a government burn job, ladies and gentlemen. And as far as this Mars thing, it's such a fraud, folks. You know, I don't mean to digress, but, you know, Total Recall was a movie that was about supposedly having a civilization on Mars. The Mars rover is being filmed on Greenland, folks. It's a joke. Okay? It's a joke. The whole NASA thing's a fraud. They didn't land on Mars. This is a closed system, folks. This is a closed system. We cannot get out of this. There's a dome above us. Okay, and what we have on our hands here is the only way out is through Jesus Christ. And I've talked about this over and over again. The Mars rover was filmed on Greenland, ladies and gentlemen. It's a $1 trillion treason. NASA's $1 trillion treason. Google NASA's $1 trillion treason, ladies and gentlemen. And you'll see the article that I put together on NASA's $1 trillion treason, because that's what it is. Go to NASA666.com or NASA's $1 trillion treason. What's so important about this movie Total Recall is how in this movie the people's minds were hijacked, and all the eternal truths, including the founding documents in the Constitution, were all hidden from the people. But at the very end, the oxygen generators were turned back on, and all of the information started reappearing from history into the computer terminals. You see, we face a similar demise right now, ladies and gentlemen. They're rewriting history, and they're trying to criminalize certain types of speech. They're trying to criminally penalize people that question narratives of history. In some countries, you can actually go to prison for years for questioning historical events' validity and accuracy of depiction. And it won't be far off before they start criminalizing questioning climate change, folks, because climate change is really just a total recall. You've got to understand that movie, folks. It was really incredible. What's going on right now with life on the face of the earth is it is being dramatically altered and controlled by edict and legislative enactment beyond the scope of most people's wildest imaginations. The climate change mantra is the most dangerous lie that has ever been invented, ladies and gentlemen. And let me explain why. I talked about this last night, and I cannot let this go. They're trying to convince everybody that this invisible odorless gas that we breathe out and that's emitted when you burn wood and gasoline and methane and natural gas, that it's somehow going to cause horrific consequences to the weather patterns of the earth. The only thing that is causing horrific consequences to the weather patterns of the earth is this, ladies and gentlemen. Can you see it? Can you see the chemtrails up in the sky? We've got a cold front. We've got a cold front heading to Southern California, folks. And, you know, they're spraying away, and they're going to hit it with their phased array radar and their ground-based Tesla systems that they can energize the dome with and bounce it down and heat up and superheat and move jet. They got stuff. They got stuff that would blow your mind, folks. But this carbon, this war on carbon, this is really scary, okay? And while they got you all, you know, enamored with the DJ and the open bar and, you know, the surround sound seats that vibrate you and with the stereo screen going that's 50 feet tall, they've got the noose tightening around your neck, and every aspect of your life is about to be permanently changed by these protocols of whacked out environmentalism that are becoming laws all across the world. You see, they are now in the process of removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. That's right. They have now begun the beginning of the implementation of a process called carbon sequestration. And what that means is they've actually got these machines that are being built that will remove carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and pump it deep into the ground so it turns into rock deep within the earth, permanently removing carbon from the atmosphere, permanently removing plant food from the atmosphere. The plants cannot live without carbon. They cannot live without carbon dioxide. They are going to remove the carbon dioxide from the air and pump it deep into the ground. And when the plants do not have access to carbon dioxide, they will not produce oxygen, and we will not have access to oxygen. And we will be paying for the air we breathe. Don't you remember Total Recall, ladies and gentlemen? Don't you remember when they hid all of the eternal documents and truths and freedom documents from the people that finally appeared at the very end of the movie when the computer terminals started repopulating everything? Remember that? Don't forget the eternal truths that we have, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget the eternal truths that we've been bequeathed with. The Bible and the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Those are living documents, folks. And they are re-engineering our ability to understand and access these. Right now, they're still available. I mean, you can go to the 99-cent store and buy Bibles. But you want to know something, ladies and gentlemen? You want to know something? They could be giving them away for free and dropping them out of helicopters. And we're almost at the point where people won't even read them right now because they're too busy looking at the Botox job of the Kardashians or whatever butt implants somebody's getting on television. So they've almost got the lobotomy accomplished without the scalpel. We're very close to that point. And all the children think that the world is coming to an end because the science teacher and the sociology teacher and the anthropology teacher and the ecology teacher and the physics teacher and the chemistry teacher and the social studies teacher. That's right, all these teachers are telling these children that we've got to stop creating a carbon footprint. You know what that means when they want to get rid of your carbon footprint, ladies and gentlemen? They want to get rid of the foot that's doing the printing. And you know what that means? That means getting rid of you and I. You see, if they take the carbon out of the atmosphere to the point at which they are desiring to remove it, then we will not have air to breathe, and they will be able to control access to oxygen itself, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the demise of the people in the movie Total Recall. We're facing that, ladies and gentlemen. You think it's all about doing what's right for the earth, right? That's what they're telling you. Oh, we've got to protect Mother Earth, or we've got to protect the biosphere. We've got to protect the environment. Well, let me ask you a question. If they were so concerned about protecting the environment, why do they spray all this stuff up in the sky and hit it with all these directed energy weapons and heat it all up and screw up the weather to cause flooding in some places and droughts in the other? Why don't they leave the weather the hell alone? Well, they want the weather screwed up so they can blame it on a boogeyman and attack the boogeyman and control the boogeyman and re-engineer society because of the presence of the boogeyman. And that boogeyman is carbon dioxide, a vilified innocent victim, a component, an integral part of life on this closed system called Earth that none of us can live without. We cannot live without carbon dioxide. We cannot live without carbon. They want to take our access to carbon away and control it and regulate it and tax it and legislate it into oblivion. This is horrific, folks. And there's a reason why it's 70 to 80 degrees every day in Southern California. Because every day in Southern California is, according to the following weather forecast, folks. Well, today in Los Angeles, it's going to be fair with a chance of chemtrails. And we can look forward to the same forecast until Wednesday or Thursday, and then there is a chance of rain, but because of the 80% chance of chemtrails, there's only a 20% chance of rain, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. And so in the meantime, everybody's like going, yeah, gosh, it doesn't rain anymore. And before you know it, now 5 or 6 years have elapsed, and a lot of the trees have died because all of the morons stopped watering their lawns, even though there's infinite supplies of water under the ground, because we're literally floating on a massive ocean of fresh water, but they won't let us access it. So everybody kills their lawns, kills their trees, and then all of a sudden everybody goes, oh my gosh, this drought's horrible. We've got to conserve even more. And now they're only going to allow us to have 50 gallons per person per day in California pretty soon. Can you imagine the BO of some of these people? I mean, they've got to determine whether they're going to flush their toilet or wash their underwear or shower. And, you know, if most of these people continue to be anesthetized and hypnotized by the scrying mirror psychotronic Ouija board called a television or a hellivision, and they sit there imbibing all of these concoctions and these malts and these beverages, and they consume all these microwaved Hot Pockets, and they sit there on the couch with the windows all closed under the LED lights, with the Wi-Fi systems beaming their brains, with the virtual reality headset on. What do you think they're going to smell like after a week? And what do you think that apartment's going to smell like after a week if they never go outside, never get off the couch except to push the buttons on the microwave and to take a dump? We got problems, folks. We got problems. We got huge problems. And the biggest problem of all is people's willingness to accept these scams. And it is because of the tightly woven, braided rope around the necks of all of our children by the educational system. if we don't have a total recall really quick, it's going to be lights out meatball for life as we know it. Oh, there'll be life all right, just like those people on Total Recall crammed into these domes where they're gasping for air and trying to buy more. Because that's their plan, folks. They're going after the air. You see, climate change is not about climate change at all. It's about going after our ability to breathe, okay? And if they take out the plant food, then the plants are not going to make the oxygen, and the only ones that will be able to make the oxygen are the ones that will have the technology to make the oxygen, and that will be the ones who have the oxygen generators, and they're going to have to sell it to us, and if we can't afford to buy it, then we just don't get to breathe. And whatever free oxygen is left is going to be subjected to the 60 gigahertz WIKIJOE systems that's going to render it almost completely unbindable to our hemoglobin by altering the orbital spin properties of the valence electrons of the diatomic oxygen, folks. That is why they've chosen 60 gigahertz for the new Wi-Fi, because it's the absorption spectrum of the oxygen molecules. Are you having a total recall moment yet, folks? I'll tell you right now, the controllers are worried about this information getting out, as you can see, all right? They don't want the information getting out, ladies and gentlemen. This is an important video, okay? And you need to share this. They're driving the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere deep down into the bowels of the earth. That's right, they're taking the plant food and they're removing it from the atmosphere and pumping it deep into the ground, taking it out of circulation forever! Forever! In the meantime, they're pumping all kinds of toxic petrochemical poisons and acids and solvents deep into the aquifers with the fracking, and that's perfectly fine. We can't breathe, we can't let the trees breathe plant food, but we can pump all kinds of caustic, toxic, cancer-causing compounds deep down into the earth to frack, right? Do you see how insane these people are? And do you see how insane this dichotomy is that is being promoted by these moronic imbeciles in education? Now, I know, you know, it's all par for the course because, oh, I got to do what they tell me to do because, you know, I have a contract and I have to follow the orders and this is the curriculum. The hell you do. You don't have to teach that stuff. You don't have to lie to these children. Why don't you open your eyes and realize that all of you are going to be in the same boat as all of us. It is just a matter of time, ladies and gentlemen. It is just a matter of time. You need to watch Total Recall, folks, and you need to realize that and it's so ironic because now we have this supposed Mars rover, and you know, it's so funny because it's so laughable, but here's the deal. That movie is really what they have planned for us, and unless some hero comes and breaks the spell and flips the switch on returning all the information back to the screens and to the databases and to public access, people will never know. You see, they're putting all the carbon dioxide into the ground. There won't be any trees. There won't be any air. There won't be any wood to burn. They're making it now so it's illegal to burn wood in the places up by the Canadian border. I mean, they're going after wood-burning fireplaces, folks. They're going after wood-burning stove. One of the most clean and efficient sources of renewable energy are trees. That's right, trees. And if they would access the primary water and water the deserts and plant forests, we would have an endless supply of renewable energy. You know, I have a wood pellet barbecue. It's an amazing invention. It runs on these little sawdust pellets, and it's got a little burner in there, and it's really just a rod that heats up and keeps the little fire burning. It is so clean, it's unbelievable. It burns just about as clean as natural gas, and you know, it's a great device for cooking, okay? And wood, if the temperature is properly regulated and the wood is dry and clean, It's an excellent fuel, folks, but they don't want us to have access to it. That's right. They don't want us to have access to it. You need to watch the movie Total Recall from the late 1980s starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and look at what they have planned for us living in these rat traps on rationed air. That's where we're heading. We are heading there, folks. With this carbon dioxide sequestration, they're trying to get the carbon out of the air so the plants can't turn it into oxygen. We need to get awake to their plan and derail this bullshit. It's a lie. The more carbon dioxide that goes into the atmosphere, the more the trees grow and pull it out. Do you know anything about gardening, ladies and gentlemen? Well, if you put more nutrients into the soil, the plant will grow faster. Do you know anything about dieting, ladies and gentlemen? Well, the more calories you eat, the bigger and fatter you get. Same goes with the plants. The plants need carbon dioxide. They need the carbon because the carbon is what they use to make cellulose and the fibers and the wood and the leaves and the stems and the phloem and the xylem and all the parts. Parts is parts, folks, but you got to have raw materials for the organism, or in this case, the plant, to make parts. Unbelievable. You know, this is the ultimate scam. And you're about to buy Christmas presents for these teachers. Are you kidding me? Seriously? Seriously, ladies and gentlemen? You're about to buy Christmas presents for these teachers? Are you joking? Listen to me. Listen to me right now. Are you listening? Carbon dioxide is not a pollutant. Anthropogenic carbon is there's no such thing. You see, all carbon dioxide is created equal. It doesn't matter whether it comes out of a tailpipe or out of your windpipe. It's carbon dioxide. It's CO2. And it belongs in the air, so it can be taken out of the air as needed by the trees and the plants. It's all bullshit. That's right. And right now, they got your kids going into a Wi-Fi prison, getting irradiated with an infertility pad in their lap, but they're not talking about the Class 2B, which really should be a Class 1 carcinogen classification of the microwave radiation coming off of that slot antenna aimed at your daughter's ovaries. That's right. Go to apple666.org. Go to wifidangers.com. Go to wifidangers.com, folks. That's right. By the way, I've got a P.O. box. P.O. Box 4121. Fullerton, California, 92834. P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834 if you want to reach me. Or joeimbriano777@gmail.com. Your kids at school with a Chromebook in their lap, huh? With a cell phone in their pocket, huh? That's right. That's right. Your daughter's got that iPad on her ovaries right now, right? And they don't want to talk about the pollution, the electromagnetic radiation coming off of those devices that are really weapons. The whole setup in the schools is a weapons grid, folks. And they want to take the plant food out of the air so the trees won't grow, and then they're going to blame everything on climate change. You know, and guess what? This is really scary. And you know, we're hitting home when no one's getting their notifications, and I'm hopeful that this video will get out far and wide today. Nobody got their notifications, did you? Did any of you get a notification today? Let me see a show of hands here. Who got a notification this morning? Did anybody? Let's take a look here. Nope. 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 One person did. Nope. One person did. Nope. So the notifications are all off. So here's the deal, folks. We know we're hitting it hard when they're shutting off the notifications. And they didn't like my video last night on climate change. This is a big deal, folks. Now, there's a lot of stuff in the news right now, okay? There's a lot of stuff in the news. Tons of stuff in the news that are diversions, folks. The biggest story that's we're being faced with right now, the really most pertinent information that we need to get out far and wide is the scam of CO2 being a pollutant. Do you know, because of this lie of climate change, here's the deal, folks. Not only are they going to take the plant food out of the air, not only are they going to take carbon dioxide, which is plant food, out of the air, they have plans to take the plant food out of the air with these big machines to sequester the carbon and separate it from the other atmospheric gases and pump it deep into the ground and remove it permanently from circulation. Not only are they going to remove the plant food out of the air, folks, they're going to spray, they admit now that they're going to spray these sulfates at 40,000 feet and blanket and block the sun, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know that not only are they going to take the plant food away from the plants out of the air, they're going to block the sunlight from getting to the plants? This is the insanity of climate change, ladies and gentlemen. You think climate change is all about green energy and green cars and green grass? It has everything to do with killing you off and creating famines and death and destruction so they can reduce our population levels down to next to nothing. They only want a small number of human beings alive for organ harvesting, sex slaves, and manual labor. All right? They are going to be harvesting us. That's right. They don't need everybody. They've got these machines, and they think they can merge with these machines and live forever. Let me tell you something. I know plenty of people with lots of money, and they're not living forever, folks. They're falling apart like a frickin' Chrysler. Okay, looks good coming off the assembly line. Couple years, the paint's fading, and the lenses are clouding up, and it's leaking tranny fluid, and it's got an exhaust leak and a lifter tick, and then some electrical circuits go out. That's what happens with everybody. I don't care how much money you have. It doesn't matter. We're all going back into the earth. From dust, we will return. That's right, folks. But here's the deal. These psychopaths want to kill everybody off, and they want to do it by engaging in social engineering through legislative enactment. You see, they've already hijacked all of the governing bodies that make these decisions for us, folks. Look at who just got elected to the House of Representatives and Congress, and your state Senate, and your state assembly, and your county board of supervisors, and even your city councils. It's gone, folks. They rigged the elections. They got all these illegals voting. And so now we got these radical, wacko, liberal environmentalists in control. And you got some guy in the White House who's a gigantic Trojan horse. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable! They want to spray because of climate change. Because of climate change, that's right, the lie of global warming, all this bullshit that's being taught in the schools. You ever wonder why they put so much money into the education system, ladies and gentlemen? Did you ever wonder why? You know, I remember years ago, the public schools, they had so much money to waste, and my grandfather used to dig in the trash and put together bicycles for all the kids in the neighborhood in his little small town in Massachusetts. He had a basement full of bicycle parts, folks, and he spent his free time putting bicycles together and giving them to all the kids. He was a great man, my grandfather. And, you know, he got a lot of good stuff out of the trash. And you know, growing up, I kind of did the same thing. I would look in these trash bins behind these businesses and these schools. And, my gosh, you would not believe the stuff the schools used to throw out, especially the high schools. Unbelievable. I mean, perfectly good everything. They were, and as I got older and got involved in, you know, community activism and politics, then I started looking through the finances, and oh my gosh, they're so flush with cash. And, you know, they got 2 sets of books. They got the CAFRs, then they got their budget. And so there's a reason why there's so much money going into education, folks, because it is designed to make sure that no one gets out of line. It's designed to make sure that you all follow the plan and follow the orders. It's designed to make sure that the agendas go forward with little or no resistance. It is designed to make sure that the elite's plans for the chattel property, the cattle, as they look to us as the swine that they look at us as they go according to plan without any type of mental or physical resistance. It's mind slavery, ladies and gentlemen. It is mind control. It is complete, total enslavement of the mind. That's what the educational system is. How in the world could you ever devise a more sinister and evil and diabolical plan to kill off the human race than with this climate change lie? Well, it's the perfect lie, folks, and it's the perfect weapon, because it's going to give the government the ability to take away everything we have under the auspices of saving humanity from impending climate doom, when in fact the climate doom is being orchestrated and engineered by the technology that they continue to expand the proliferation of. Have you ever noticed some of these gigantic buildings with these gigantic antennas on top of them? Did you ever wonder what the World Trade Centers really were, folks? Did you ever wonder what role they really played in the grand scheme of things? And it wasn't office buildings, okay? It wasn't office buildings, folks. That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They have advanced Tesla technology that can harness electricity out of the air and the ground, folks. That's right. And they can use that electricity, and they can harvest it, and they can rebroadcast it. They can do whatever they want with this technology, folks. And they can control the weather, and they can induce drought. They can cause famine. And let me tell you something, because of this psychotronic warfare and the scrying mirror that you look into, that electronic Ouija board that you watch every night, they've got your mind. Once you're out of school, they still have your mind with the television. Their cards have been in plain sight for years, folks. They don't hide anything. I mean, you look at the record album covers and you look at the card games. You look at the stuff. They put it out there in the cartoons. They're not playing around. They put it out in the movies. Total Recall, folks. 1989, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's where we're heading. With carbon sequestration and mind control, we are doomed, okay? We cannot allow them to get away with this. We must never give up our guns. We must never give up our right to travel in our cars. We must never give up our right to burn fuel to cook food and to heat our homes. Do you know that the carbon cycle is so perfect, it's unbelievable? Did you know that when you burn wood, it releases the energy that it trapped from the sun? That's right. And did you ever notice that it's an orange flame, just like the sun gives orange light? Because it's petrified light. And what it does is it releases the carbon back into the air for the next plant to grow on it. It's like switching a baby bottle from a child that doesn't need it anymore to an infant that does. The carbon that's released when you burn wood releases the carbon back into the air for a baby tree to start growing big and strong. That's right. It also releases all the minerals back into the ground in the ashes, because the minerals and inorganic compounds are not combustible, and they remain in the soil, and they're a critical component of the regeneration of the soil, folks. They don't want you burning wood. They don't want you putting your fireplace ashes into your gardens. They want you mineral deficient. I could go on, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a tragedy what they've allowed to happen. And it's even more criminal what you're allowing to go on. And the biggest travesty of all is if you buy these teachers Christmas presents this year, ladies and gentlemen, because they don't deserve it. Because they're part. You see, the teachers are where the rubber meets the road, ladies and gentlemen. And they're the ones literally on the front lines. And you know what? It is incumbent upon them to throw off this bondage of bullshit that they're trying to shackle our children with. All right? That's a fact. They're the ones, let me tell you something. All the way down the line, they're the only ones that could say no. Will they? It's a total recall, folks. You need to watch that movie, Total Recall. You need to understand, when you understand what that movie's all about by rewriting history, hiding historical facts, and controlling oxygen supplies, realizing that the key to the oxygen is not to sequester the plant food, and that's what they're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to break this cycle of this end game that they have planned for us. We cannot allow them to get away with this, folks. The only reason that the weather's screwed up is because they are screwing it up with their advanced technologies. All these chemicals are spraying in the air, all these ground-based delivery systems that are energizing the atmosphere and causing the climate to change, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sorry, but the ocean's not rising. I've been hanging out at the beach my whole life, and the tides, you know, the levels of the barnacles on the piling are in the same place they were 40 years ago. It's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so, you know, enough of this. You know, we talk about all these different things. I'm going to be on the climate change horse for a while because we need to beat this drum, folks. People need to understand. We need to resist at all levels the restriction of the combustion of carbon fuels, folks. We should have the right to have gasoline, natural gas, wood, alcohol. I mean, look, folks, they don't want us burning anything, and fire is a human right, and they're using it as a weapon against us right now because they can light all the fires they want, right? You know, they can run their directed energy weapons. They can blow up people's refrigerators that have the R600 refrigerant in it off the smart grid. You know, like those refrigerators, those smart refrigerators that they have the smart grid connectivity. They got a propane canister for a compressor. You got to understand, folks. You got to understand what they're doing, what these people are up to. They can light all the fires they want, but we can't even cook ourselves a bowl of soup. This is a really serious problem. They want us thinking that life on Earth is going to end soon because of the climate disaster that's pending. That's what they want us to think. They want us to think that colonizing other planets is an option. They want us to have this sense of fatalism and futility that life here is lost. And no, it's just the opposite, folks. They're stealing trillions of dollars from the taxpayers to run some phony video game show with a bunch of cheap, you know, actors drinking energy drinks in some fake control room. The NASA rover is on Greenland, folks. That's where it's at. There's nothing up there. There's a dome over us. You cannot escape this closed system, ladies and gentlemen. It's all lies. All right. That's it. That's it for this morning. Play catch up on the information. Share the video far and wide, folks. Suppression is underway because we're hitting it hard. These are hard-hitting facts that they don't want people to know about. And that's why I bring them to you every day, folks, because people need to know. And if we don't talk about this, who will? I can tell you right now, you think the guy at the college is going to tell his students about this? No, he's going to tell the kids that, oh, this is the case, and if we don't do something about this, the whole world will die. That's what they tell the children. That's what they tell the children, folks. That's right. All right, so, and once again, we do this in the name of our Lord and Savior, and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, who died for our sins, and through his sinless shed blood, atoned and put away the sins of mankind for those that would accept it. And I would just ask all of you, to accept him and accept the finished work on that cross, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. That's right. We have no other choice, because it is through his power, his wisdom, his righteousness, and his eternal nature, his omnipotence and his omnipresence and his omniscience, that we will be victorious. And the gates of hell will never prevail against us. Never. Never! forever. In Jesus' name, amen.